MSPs essentially they mean minimum support prices, and the idea behind an MSP is that suppose a farmer is producing wheat, and the government fixes an MSP of 1,000 rupees per quintal. Then the idea is that if a farmer goes to the market to sell his produce, and finds that the prices in the market, the prices at which he can sell, are lower than 1,000 rupees, then he can always go back to the government and the government will buy it from the farmer. Now, the idea behind an MSP is that it provides a certain base minimum price for farmers. They will get a certain amount of remuneration at the end of their whole exercise. And the political economic history in this is that there was a time when India was short of grains, and the government wanted to incentivize farmers to produce more or produce certain kinds of crops, say wheat or paddy, and sell it to the government, because government wanted it for its own PDS programs. So there was a time when government was very actively involved in giving those guarantees, price guarantees, and making them attractive enough so that farmers come to the government, choose the government instead of the private sector. MSPs were announced for 23 crops, but procurement happened for only 2-3 crops, wheat, paddy, and some other crops. So first of all, what is the point of announcing MSPs for the other 20 or 19 crops? And secondly, procurement didn't happen geographically at an equal level. You didn't procure, say on wheat, you didn't say all the wheat from Bihar will be procured, or 50% from wheat from Bihar and 50% of wheat from Punjab will be procured. In Punjab, it was 70%. In Bihar, it was 10%. So there were massive mismatches. And that is the reason why a lot of people are befuddled why only these farmers are protesting. It's because these farmers are the ones who benefited from that system. In most other places, you didn't give the benefits to those farmers. They were languishing in any case. So that is why they are not asking, because they haven't seen that benefit. Answer to whether these demands are justified or not depends on who you are, from whose perspective you're looking. 86% of India's farmers are small and marginal. And that's a level at which it's uneconomic to be a farmer. So for those farmers, it is very natural to say that, we want some kind of a guarantee. We want some kind of a succor, some kind of a safety, that we can sell it to the government at a decent price. If you look at it from the government's perspective, the government would think, or the corporates would think, that the government perhaps would think that I already have my buffer stock, 2-3 times the buffer stock. Why am I now, procuring all this from the farmers? Why can't they simply sell it to the market? And the corporate companies or big firms might be thinking, why can't I sort of get this at a cheaper price and sell it onwards, and make a decent business out of it? And there's nothing wrong in any of these 3 perspectives. The only thing is, who are you looking, whose perspective are you looking from? Now, why are farmers from Punjab, Haryana, or Western UP so interested? Is because, and not say maybe from Bihar, because MSP was more effective in Punjab, Haryana, and Western UP. It was not as effective in Bihar. As I mentioned, it's not just about announcing an MSP. You have to procure at that. Now, if you do not procure, if the government doesn't procure produce at MSP, say in Bihar, and procures at MSP 70% of the produce at MSP in Punjab, then the farmers of Punjab have a real interest in retaining MSP. Whereas in Bihar, they don't know the concept. They have not been selling. They have, in any case, been selling into the private sector and at lesser than MSP. So they never had that safety net. So it's no surprise that they haven't come out asking for an MSP. But from a farming perspective, from India's agrarian distress that we see, that most of them are very poor, indebted, it is very natural for them to say that we don't have the bargaining power to deal with companies. It is very natural for them to ask the government, give us a fair minimum price at which we can survive and continue doing agriculture. It sounds very heartless the moment you say anything against MSPs or any guarantees, because it appears as if you're speaking against the farmers. So in the short term, it is very important for us to take care of our farmers, right? Because there's, 55% of India's population is involved in agriculture sector, right? But there is also a harsh reality that the agriculture sector produces only 17% of our GDP, right? At the start of at the time of independence, we had 70% of our population involved in agriculture, but at that time agriculture produced 55% of our GDP, right? So there was a link between what you produce and how many people are dependent on that produce. Now that 55 has fallen to 17, and this 70 has fallen only to 55. So the solution in the short term, if there are people dying of hunger, indebtedness, the government will be forced to take action. That is democracy. But if you ask from an economic perspective, then the solutions lie somewhere else. The solutions lie, one, in investing in agriculture, addressing those constraints that make the farmers dependent, so disempowered. Why can't the farmer give the grain, hold on to the grain and sell it at the right price? Because there is those local warehousing facility. If there was local warehousing facility, then as you and I would do, if we have something we can save, we put it in a bank or in some kind of a safe and say we'll use it at an opportune time. So the farmer can also put the wheat in a warehouse and say I will sell it when the prices are right. But today we do not have that. Similarly, agriculture, irrigation facilities, timely credit availability, water availability, extension services. Do the farmers know how to sell their produce? They have to be, some amount of handholding has to be done. So these are the things where the government has to invest. This is where sustainable solution will happen for farming. And the other big improvement that we require is that we need to boost our industrial and services sector. This is where future of jobs will happen. These are the sector, industries in particular, can soak up excess labor, which is languishing in agriculture, not making any money, but just languishing there. They can take that labor, put them usefully in big industries, big companies, big firms, and give them a good wage, instead of them languishing and sitting on MSPs. The last point is, everybody who supports MSPs also has to answer this. Suppose government says I'll give MSP for everything that is produced in India. Can there'll be a financial strain, first of all. But even if we ignore that, then you are saying all the produce will go to the government. Then we'll all then go to the government for all the produce to be brought back into the market. Or are we saying that everything would then be free and subsidized through the small pocket of taxpayers? So it's a very inefficient system. And we've seen that. I mean, a lot of literature is there that it can get very inefficient in the whole process, where the government procures and then sends it to the market. So yeah, I mean, there are no clear-cut answers, but you have to strike a balance between what is necessary for the short term and what is important to be done for long-term or medium-term sustainability.